Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this information session on our upcoming South Regional Track webinar, North meet. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong document. This is about our North Regional Track meet. Sorry if I gave you a panic attack there. My name is John Skis, and besides being a little confused this morning, I am the Director of Media for TAPS. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but first, I've got a couple of housekeeping items to discuss. And first of those is this webinar is being recorded. You're going to receive an email with a link to that recording as soon as it's ready. That should be early this afternoon. We've got one more webinar right after this one, so it's going to take us a little longer to get the recordings up. Second, if you have any questions, please use the questions feature in the GoToWebinar interface. We're going to try to answer those as we go through the presentation, but if we don't get to your question, there's a general, don't get your question right away, there's a general Q&A session at the end. If we don't get to your question today, or if it's just too specific to answer appropriately in this venue, please send us an email at info@taps.biz or call us at the office once the webinar has concluded. Today, I am joined by Brian Munselmeyer, TAPS Executive Director, Robert Huckabee, TAPS Associate Director and Director of Compliance, Steve Prudhomme, TAPS Associate Director, and Will Dixon from the TAPS staff is helping us out with the presentation today. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brian to get us started. Brian.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's coaches meeting / webinar for the North Regional Track Meets. We're excited to be able to offer them in the office. We keep talking about last year's meets, and then we realize it's been 2 years since we were able to host the regional meets. So not looking back at what we lost last year, but looking forward at what we have gained this year. We're extremely excited to be able to offer the regional track meets, which will then qualify for the state track meets. It feels a lot like normal. And it's been a long time since we've been able to use that word in its proper context, normal. So again, to those that are returning, congratulations for making it back to the regional track meets, and we're excited to have you. For those of you that are new that have never been to the regional track meets, howdy, welcome. We're glad to have you joining us here in the North Regional Track Meets this year for 2021. I'm going to turn it over to Robert real quick, and he's going to walk you through the TAPS website and where to find information on this year's meets.
All right, thank you, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Will, if you would hop over to the TAPS website, this is where you'll find most, if not all, the information you need for our North and South regional meets. If you'll click on the top there, athletics, give it a second here, upload, and then scroll on down, you'll see spring events. Click on track and field. That will take you to the main track and field page. That's where you'll find most all the information you need. That first green button there, regional meet information. All the information on both our meets is located there. Will, if you'll click on that one, it'll take us to a page where we will see our North Region track information is there at the top. We will be at Liberty Christian in Argyle. We announced that. We appreciate Liberty Christian for stepping up, being a very good host for us. It's a great facility. We're going to have a great meet there. We're excited about that. There is your schedule, 3A, 4A. You'll see a note under there for you, 1A. There are no 1A prelims. We've received our entries as of yesterday, and we don't have so many that we can't get you guys fit in on your normal day, which will be that second day. Brian?
Let's go ahead and talk about those 1A prelims for you 1A coaches that are out there. There will be timed heats, timed finals in the 100, the 200, and most likely the 400. And then in the shot and disc, we will have multiple flights combining back for the final 3 throws for the finals. So shot, disc, perhaps long jump, but the rest of them, we're going to do it in order. So for 1A schools, you lose the opportunity to travel that extra day, and it will just come back in straight into your 1A, 2A day, which is Wednesday, the 21st.
Thank you, Brian. We'll get to that more in a little bit, but wanted to throw that out there for 1A so you can start making plans. Thank you for getting those entries in. Those entries for 1A are now closed, but looking at that, we will be able to get you guys in on your normal day on that Wednesday, the 21st. Back to our page here where all of our information is contained. If you are in 3A, 4A, you'll click on that particular button and that will give you all the information on your meet. Go ahead and click on that. This will still have the 1A information that we no longer need. There's your date, there's your location, there's a map to the stadium. We're going to get to a map here in just a minute of the facility and walk you through that. We'll add that here as well. Your entry fees are on there, spectator information, team areas, we'll cover that when we get to our particular map. warm-up areas, food and drink. All that information is there. We'll be going through that as well. 7:15 stadium open. We've actually moved that back to 7 a.m. You can get there as early as 7 a.m. Like all schools, they'll have school. We'll go through that map and show that to you, but you can start arriving there. We'll cover that later. But this is where you'll find all your information for the meet of when to show up, and we'll go over that in a little detail. Let's jump back to our PowerPoint, Will. Just wanted to give you a view of where you can find that information. And if we jump to our next page, we have dates on there, Brian.
Basically, as a reminder, 3A, 4A are Tuesday, April the 20th. There will be no 1A prelims. Again, there will be some timed finals included in. So if you're a 2A school and you've got athletes in the 100 or the 200, there's going to be probably a couple of more heats in front of you than there normally would be, but that's not a problem because those races go fast. April 21st is our 1A, 2A, and then April 22nd is our 5A, 6A. So we're looking extremely forward. A couple of folks have questioned why we had to move back to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's officials, and officials. We're so grateful to have our certified officials come work, but as our regionals are on the same week as the UIL, we were struggling on those Friday and Saturdays to get the officials team we needed. So we're extremely excited to be able to have good quality officials for each event, and we're extremely excited to be able to have them. We just had to adjust our schedule to make that happen. Robert, tell us now about Liberty Christian School and jump to that map, et cetera, that you were talking about.
You bet. We will be at Liberty Christian in Argyle. There's your location there. And if you'll jump to the next one, we'll look at our site map here. Here's a Google map that we've taken and kind of marked all the areas that you'll need to know. There will only be one entrance, and it's the main school entrance right there off of 377. You'll pull in. You'll see a few places that are marked in red, no parking. The one in the front there is a church that's allowing us to use that back parking lot, but we can't use the front parking lot. They have daycare and other things going on there. You will pull in, and if you see those baseball, softball fields to the right, there's an area for a team drop-off. Right after you turn in, there's an area there where you can drop off. You can pull your bus up just to the right after you pull in. You can unload all of your athletes and all your information there, and then they walk across the complex to that area that's marked gate. Once you pull up and unload, you'll pull on into that back parking lot over there to the left. We're asking buses, we'll have people out there to assist. We're asking buses to go to the far end and corner of that parking lot, and then that will allow our fans and spectators to be able to park a little bit closer. So once you get there and drop off, you'll walk across to the complex you see there. Everybody will come through that main gate. Fans will be on the home side in the stadium. The team areas are marked. There are grass areas. There's the visitor stand. There's several areas marked there for team areas. That's where you can set up your team tents and your areas there once you arrive at the site. Check-in is marked right behind and underneath the back of the home stands. There is a little building there that will be check-in for coaches. Hospitality for coaches and officials will be there as well. And then right below check-in, you'll see that area is all of our field events. The jumping pits are there. The throws are all there. Pole vault is out there. High jump will be inside the track. But with regard to our field events, they're all right there in that general area. They're very close. They're easy to get to. For you coaches that have a bunch of athletes in multiple events, it will be a little easier for you to bounce back and forth and to get to them as you need to. There's a green building there right between gate and check-in. That's a concession stand in the restroom area. So that's an area there in the central that is available. You'll see a couple of those roads off of 377 marked no entrance. Those will be closed. Those are access for the school. Those will be closed, and we'll only come in and exit off that main entrance. So there's a map. We'll post that and send that out as well, so you'll have that available. Next, let's move on to weather. Brian, talk to us a little bit about weather. Oh, Steve's going to take that one. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, we talk about the weather. Anyway, we're going to be having our forecast coming in from our partners, Earth Networks. We'll have a page there that you can go to see the updated forecast. And again, we've asked for no rain and we've asked for good temperatures, but again, I think it's better to pray. But anyway, we'll have our meteorologist on duty there that we'll be going back and forth with them, but you will be getting an update. And so you can always click on that link and they'll be updating that. And it is precisely for the spot that we're in. So again, it's not a general forecast that we're giving you. It's one for that very spot. So anyway, let's pray about the weather. Let's keep up with the weather and we'll adjust to the weather. Let's move on to timelines. Robert?
All right, thank you, Steve. As always, springtime in Texas. Prepare your kids for cold and hot, and I think we'll be good to go. Timelines. Let's look at our timeline for the day. The facility will be open as early as 7 a.m. As I mentioned earlier, they do have school, and you can see on the map the school is kind of up the hill, out of our way, so we won't be in their way. But as with all schools, there will be a little more traffic in the morning. If we can get in and out in that time frame, I think we'll be fine. We won't be in their way and they won't be in our way. We certainly want to respect that because they are allowing us to use their facility.
It's not confusing where to go in. You go in where there's a stoplight. So the stoplight will let you know that's the entrance you need to use. And like I said, pack your patience. But once we get everybody in there, we'll be ready to get after it.
Once you get there and drop off, you'll walk across to the main complex where we'll be holding the meet. Coaches registration, that will begin at 7:30. As I mentioned, that will be in an area underneath the home side spectator area. It'll be easy to find. It'll be right there in the main area. So you'll check in there, and implement check-in will begin at that time as well. That'll all be in that same area. It'll be easy to find. Implement check-in will begin at 7:30. This is in red and it's very important. Implement check-in will close at 8:30. So we've got an hour window there. Even if on the schedule you think you're going to be throwing later in the day, go ahead and get all those implements there. We will have officials there checking those in. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit, but make sure you have somebody there to drop off your implements no later than 8:30. 8:45, we will begin field events. At 9:30, we'll have first call for the 3200. At 9:45, we'll actually run the 3200. And then at 2:30, we'll have first call for running finals. 2:45, we'll begin our running finals at that time. That'll be our basic meet schedule. Our field events will be on a rolling schedule. We'll go over that a little bit more. Brian?
Unless we get way ahead, and that hasn't happened yet, but it might. We are really looking at that 2:45 running finals begin. So if that helps you plan on getting your kids hydrated and getting them nutrition, et cetera, make sure that we're ready to rock and roll once we get those first calls.
Coaches registration. As you come in, be prepared. You'll pick up a coach's packet. Information be available there for the heat sheets that'll be there available for the meet that day, maps of the facility. You also, all coaches, as we've done all year, you'll sign a COVID affirmation form for us. That'll be affirming that all of your coaches, managers, trainers, participants, everybody there representing your school are good to go and are healthy COVID-wise. And if you have any vaulters, you'll also go ahead and complete your pole vault certification at that time. You'll complete that, turn that back into us so we have that before we begin any warm-ups or any competition in the pole vault.
So as we advance to the regionals, remember that qualification is through the district meet, top 4 or whatever it is, top 2, whatever it's listed on the TAPS website. That's how you're advancing from the district meet to the state, to the regional meet. There's no need for you to go back into athletic.net or anything else to register your athletes. They're already in the meet. There are 2 things that you do need to know. We're going to talk about them here in just a second. One of those things is if you have an athlete that you're adding to a relay that did not participate in the district meet, we have a form that we need you to fill out to make sure they get into the database. And the other thing will be withdrawing from an individual event as you move to the regional meet. Robert, can you walk them through both of those a little bit, from withdrawing from the regional and from state?
You bet. Thank you, Brian. Some of you have already completed your district meets. Some of them are going on today as we speak, and then some of you will be completing those throughout the week. But as you complete or you have completed your district meet, once you qualify for the regional meet in an individual event, okay, once you qualify, if you need to withdraw from an individual event, okay, in other words, I qualified from district to regional, but I will not be able to participate. There is a form. If you go back to that track page under regional information, the first two buttons there were titled a withdrawal form. If you qualified from district to regional in an individual event but will not participate, you need to fill out that form for us, please. You need to fill out that form by the deadline. From district to regional, that deadline is 12 noon on Monday the 19th. 12 noon on Monday the 19th. If you do not fill out that form and meet that deadline, that qualifier will be in the meet and the fair effort rule will be in effect.
Robert, that doesn't mean that if you have an athlete that gets sick or perhaps COVID or something else comes up, if you have to withdraw them on the day of the meet, you're still eligible to do that. But of course, you're withdrawing them from the whole meet. So what we're trying to do is if you're going to withdraw somebody that was 8th place in the 100 and you want to replace them into one of your relays, there's a possibility to do it. But you do have to do that again. Robert, that deadline was noon on Monday the 19th, correct?
That is correct. And then on the same vein, if you qualify from regionals to state, same situation occurs and you need to withdraw an athlete from an individual event, that form is also available, same place on the website. One of them says from district to regional, the other one says from regional to state. That deadline is 12 noon on Saturday, April the 24th. So make sure if you have that situation, if you have any questions about this, reach out to our office, info@taps.biz, or give us a call. We can help you walk through that. Make sure you understand as we move on to the importance of this is the fair effort rule.
The big thing that we want to hit before that, please don't wait till the very last. If you already know you're scratching an athlete between now and whenever, please get those forms done. That what we're saying is on Monday night, that's that last minute opportunity to keep them in the meet. So if you already know you're going to make a replacement, sooner is better than later, because we do want to call up the next available athlete, because this is a qualified meet. If there is a next available athlete, we definitely want to get that information out as soon as possible. The other thing that I am continually reminded of is just make sure of how many events you have them in, and if you're withdrawing somebody and you want to add them to a relay, make sure you don't put them in too many running events. We are governed by the National Federation of High School, the NFHS track rules. If you don't have a copy of that, please jump out and get one. Again, those forms are located on the TAPS website, www.taps.biz. Click on athletics, click on track and field, click on regional meet information.
Yeah, I got an important question, but an easy question. Yes, we do want the checks made payable to TAPS. TAPPS is good enough. And then again, we'll take care of it from there.
Fair effort rule. While we're talking about withdrawals, the importance of that is it does affect the fair effort rule. The fair effort rule will be strictly enforced in all finals events in our district, regional, and state competitions. What does the fair effort rule say? If an individual scratches or fails to participate in a finals event, that individual cannot participate in any other events during that meet. So if you're in an individual event, you scratch or you fail to participate, you're done for the day. You can't add them into a relay after that. They can't participate in their other events. That's the fair effort rule that we've had in place for many years. The fair effort rule goes into effect when you qualify for that subsequent meet. So from district to regional, the fair effort rule is in effect as soon as you qualify. The only exception is that withdrawal form that we've been talking about. If you know you need to withdraw, you do have an opportunity to fill out that form in advance of that deadline and still be good under the fair effort rule. This can be confusing even for our longtime track coaches. Please call our office. If you think you need to withdraw someone or you're thinking about doing that, make sure that we walk through that with you, understand what other events they might be in or other events you might want to, for instance, add them to a relay. Let us help you walk through that and make sure you don't make a mistake. We don't want any athlete to not be able to participate if they are good under the rules, but this is a misunderstood rule sometimes, so we will help you walk through that. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Brian?
One extension of the fair effort rule is the intentional false start, the intentional DQ. Just to make very clear that is now at the discretion of the officials. So it's better to withdraw them early obviously, than to put somebody out there and intentionally false start. If that's an official's decision, that can also take them out of the rest of the meet. Robert, as we talked about earlier with 1A, they are going to have timed finals. I think the word there, or it even on their throws, is the word finals. So everything 1A on Wednesday will be considered a final. So if you were to withdraw a student from on the day of the meet, if you were to withdraw a student from the long jump or the triple jump or the 3200, they're out the rest of the day. So again, if you're going to make withdrawals earlier, please give us that chance to get there, especially if it's something we might have to reheat. So if there's questions on the fair effort rule, it's obviously too broad a topic in many ways. Please give our office a call or drop us an email at info@taps.biz so we can help walk you through that. Robert, talk to us about some of the rules we're going to have in place at Liberty Christian. And basically, I think the big thing is you can bring coolers in for your teams, but you can't. The spectators are going to have no outside food or drink allowed. What else is out there as far as facility rules that we know?
Teams can bring their normal coolers and food just like any other normal track meet. That certainly is allowed. Fans not allowed to bring any food or drink. There will be a full concession stand open the entire time, so those things will be available there. We discussed the areas that are designated for team camp setup. Obviously, police your area, pick up your trash. We will have trash cans and trash bags around if you'll help us with that. That will be great. All people coming in as fans will purchase a ticket through hometown ticketing, just like we've done all year. That allows their affirmation, their COVID affirmation. As coaches, you'll sign all the COVID affirmations we need. Other than that, it's a great facility. There are not a lot of things to know. We will be in that area of the stadium and the track facilities the entire time, and it's pretty easy to stay in that area and obviously take care of the facility like we do at all facilities we attend.
As you're going to be walking through a baseball, softball facility to get to the track, you're going to find Liberty has tennis courts there. They have their, obviously their school building is very close. Our facility is the track. So once you get there, your athletes need to stay in the vicinity of the track. They don't need to be on the, it goes without saying that we don't need to be on the baseball, softball field, but sometimes as coaches, we get a little lax. That eye in the back of our head doesn't quite see our kids all over, and we just need to make sure where we're rocking and rolling on that aspect of it.
Let's talk about opening heights for our regional competition for our high jump and pole vault. These are published in the meet information we sent out. They're also in the track and field bylaws as well. The opening height for girls will be 4.2. For boys, it will be 5.2. Regardless what you did at district, regardless what height you accomplished to qualify from district to regional, the opening height will be 4.2 for girls, 5.2 for boys. Same in pole vault. Girls will be 6.6 as their opening height. Boys will be 8.6. Regardless of the number of competitors, if you do not clear opening height, you cannot advance from regionals to state. So keep that in mind. That's where the bar will begin for our regional competitions. As we move on from regionals to state, that goes up just a hair. Opening height high jump for girls will be 4.4 at state and 5.4 for boys. For pole vault, it'll be 7 feet for girls and 9 feet for boys. So keep that in mind. Even though you qualified, this is where the bar will begin for those competitions. Steve?
Okay, we have a couple of questions here regarding field events. First, will field events be at 3 attempts, then reseed, and 3 attempts in the finals?
That's what the National Federation rules require. That's what we will do at both regional and state. So the answer, even in 1A, we will reseed the top 8 as they get ready to go. So you'll have 3 events in the, basically you'll have 3 events, 3 throws, 3 whatever, and then you'll move forward. So yes, the answer is yes.
A little tongue twister there. Also, will an athlete be able to pass the rest of their attempts if they feel like they got a good attempt to advance, i.e. if my triple jumper on her first jump gets the jump that we were confident, we can pass her other attempts and not be the fair effort rule.
If you're good enough, you can certainly do that. I will tell you from personal experience, it's really not fun if you throw that jump out there in the triple on your first attempt, and then somebody passes you and you try to come back, watch that hamstring if you've passed 4 times in a row before you come back. But yes, you can pass, and it does not. Now, the other situation that we get into is, okay, my triple jumper or my long jumper may not be feeling real good. What do they have to do to get a qualified attempt? They basically, Robert, I'm going to let you discuss that real quick.
So keep in mind, in the long and the triple, everybody's going to get 3 attempts. You have to have a qualified jump on one of those 3 attempts to be considered in the top 8 that would move on to the finals. So if you get one good mark in those first 3, and that's good enough to be in the top 8, then you get a chance to get your next 3 jumps. Okay. At that point, you could pass on all of those if you wanted to. Obviously, you would stand there and see where you are in the standings. And if you're in first, yeah, obviously you got to be in the top 4 to advance to state, but you do have that option that is allowed under the rules.
So simply running through and getting 6 scratches, that's where that fair effort rule could come into play. They do need to get 1 qualified jump, which means you need to hit the sand. If you're shot and disc, you don't have to spin, you don't have to slide. You just throw it out there and get 1 qualified put or toss, and you'll be there. Is that a correct assessment?
You do have to make an attempt. Yes, you would have to go down the runway. You would have to throw the shot or disc at least once to have satisfied the fair effort rule under those situations.
Okay, another question, which is kind of about the facility, but also about track. Will there be a specific and marked warm-up area since the kids can't warm up on the infield?
In looking at this facility, we will be allowing warm up on the infield for the running events for those athletes that are in the next 1 or 2 upcoming events. We won't allow the entire team on the infield. We won't allow multiple groups of people, but we will. We've done this at some of our other regional meets. We will allow warm up on the infield. We'll have a designated area for that. So don't worry about that. If they want to stretch and warm up and loosen up outside of the track, they certainly can do that. But we will allow them to come in and warm up prior to their event.
Okay. One more question before we move on. Will there be a COVID affirmation form there, or will we need to bring one from our school using TAP's format?
We'll have one there. That'll be in the coach's packet. When you come and check in, you don't have to bring anything. We'll have all that there for you. So just show up and then be able to sign that and affirm to those things. That'll be great.
Okay.
Along that same vein, it's going to be very important, and we've noticed this in tennis these last couple of weeks. There may be a student or a coach that on the day of getting on the bus can't come. But if you know on Monday they're not going to be able to come to you again, let us know as soon as possible if you have that, especially if they're scratched out of the meet, where if there is another qualifier, we can at least contact them. So if you have a student, we hope COVID doesn't jump up and bite us, but it's happening everything this year at some point. So again, that affirmation will be available when you get there. We're going to jump in and talk about field events real quickly. On each of the days, you will have a block schedule. You'll notice that it is a 4 block. It is a rolling start, and to be able to start first call at 2:30 and first running event at 2:45, our officials are going to be pushing as we go forward. Understand that the verticals take place over the horizontals, the high jump and the pole vault. You got to stay in those. But what if we do get into a conflict? Robert, go ahead and talk to us about the importance of, if I've got a conflict and I got to be in 2 places at once, what do I need to do?
We have this every year. We have some of you have very good athletes, and they're good in multiple events of the field events. And we create a schedule that tries to avoid conflicts as much as possible, and it works about 95% of the time. But we do have a handful of athletes that are going to run into, I'm stuck over here, I can't finish, but I need to be over there because they're getting ready to start that event. Make sure you check in at both places. If you're stuck at high jump or stuck at pole vault because that bar's moving up and you can't leave, coaches, make sure you get over there to that other event. Let the official know he's here, she's here. They're stuck over there. They'll be here as quick as we can. If we know they're on the premises and they're stuck in another event and we need to get them over there, we'll work with you. Steve and I'll be in the north. Find me if that happens. We'll get with the officials, but you need to check in at both places so both officials know you're there. We will get your throws in. We will get your jumps in as soon as we can. We'll make sure we get all that done. We will give you the opportunity to compete, but at the same time, you need to be responsible and let us know and let the officials know that you do have a conflict, and we will help you work through that.
It's very important that both the coach and the athlete go to the officials. It's a respect factor. At least the coach and the athlete can both go together, you hear. Now, again, going back to our one qualified attempt, if you're in the high jump and the long jump and you go sore in the long, then you may not have to go back. You can pass on your other attempts, or you can go back later and make those work. Again, find Robert. We'll work with the officials to make sure each student athlete is afforded the opportunities that they have earned by making it to the regional meet. On your implements, it's very important on the implements. We do have a 1-hour check-in period. Make sure that on each implement, your disc and your shot, you have your classification in either boy or girl. So write 2AB for 2A boys, 5AB for 5A boys. We are going to and make sure that somehow you have your school initials, whether it's LCS, whether it's WCS, whatever it is, make sure you have your initials. Use a Sharpie, write it on the disc, write it on the shot so that we know where they're going. Each implement will be inspected for weight, dimension, and defect. Every year we have those that are not allowed to be move on. So if the weight is wrong, if the dimensions are wrong, if the defects, if it's been out, if you've been throwing on concrete and it's all dented up and scarred up, if there's pieces missing off your disc, which has happened in the past, are not going to pass. So once they're checked in, they're impounded. We will move the impounded implements out to the shot and disc for them to be used. Remember that you can use any shot and disc in the tray. So you can use yours, or if yours got was not allowed to move forward, you could use those. For those that did not pass inspection, you can pick those up between 2 and 245, and then please don't bring them to state. Just have the same thing happen again. And as a reminder, the girl shot is a 4-kilogram shot, which is 8.8 pounds, not the 8-pound we sometimes see in junior high competition. So make sure your implements work the way they're supposed to work. As we move to the pole vault, you're going to do a positive check-in at the event. Make sure your coaches sign the pole vault certification form. It must be completed and returned at the time of registration. So take your time. Make sure you have your pole weights and whatever there as you go forward. And please make sure that your poles are appropriate weight for the vaulter, that they are in good condition, that they meet all NFHS rules and regulations. That goes for tape and location. Please don't make the official go back and make you start ripping off tape at the very beginning or halfway through. Depending on the number of entries, we may combine both classifications on each day of boys. So 1A, 2A boys and girls, I can tell you right now, you're going to be vaulting one session for boys and one session for girls. We will not combine genders, but we might combine classifications. Robert, your thoughts here?
Yes, and we will have those pole vault certification forms there in your coach's packet. They'll be available. You don't need to bring those. You just need to make sure all of your vaulters and all of your poles are in compliance, and you'll sign that form, so we'll have that available. Field event workers, help, help, help. As always, we need help. We cannot run this meet without your help. We will have officials at every event. They will be responsible to run the event. They'll be responsible to make any decisions that are necessary at the event, but we will need help. You can work, and we'll work in your classification. If you're 3A boys long jump and you want to go help, then go help in that particular event, because you may coach while you're working. We do allow that. We appreciate those who step up to help. We need help holding tape measures or raking or shagging shot and disc, helping with our high jump and pole vault. You guys know you do this all the time. We need help in all those areas, in the verticals, high jump and pole jump. Pole vault, you are there. We do need you to help work. You are all well familiar with that event and the rules of that event. It's a great help to have you there helping those officials. And then in the horizontals events as well, we must have people helping retrieve the shot and disc, and helping with measuring and raking the pits in the long and the triple. The good news about this year and this facility, everything is very, very close. So as a coach, you can help, and at the same time, you can see what's going on with some of your other athletes. You can send somebody over there. You can do that and manage that very well and very easily at this facility.
It's a very good setup.
Trying to stay positive here. If you're bringing those JV kids and you got nothing else for them to do, they're not going to run or be there, raking and picking up shot and disc are great things for 14 to 18-year-old young people to do. It gives them that outdoor activity and gives them their physical exercise for that day. I will say, over the last 5 years of doing the regional meets, pole vault coaches, I want to give you credit where credit is due. Pole vault coaches have always stepped in. They've set the bar. They've helped with the standards. Pole vault coaches, congratulations and thank you. High jump coaches, not so much. So high jump, we need somebody on each side of the bar, and we need you there the whole time. We need you there working to make sure we can get the high jump done. Again, if we don't have folks ready to rake, if we don't have folks ready to retrieve, if we don't have you there to set the bar, it's going to slow down the morning, and then you're going to run into conflict because we're starting running at 2:45. If the field events run long, you're going to come into conflict. So we're going to put that up. That sign-in form for field event workers is going to be on that TAPS website where you just saw on the regional track meets. We'll have regional sign-ups. Sign up and help if you can. It's going to be important for the regional and important for state. So again, I'm going to thank you in advance for helping us out and making us do these regional meets.
Running events, we need help there as well. We'll need a few people to help pull starting blocks on some of the relays in those situations if you're there available to help. We will at Liberty for the North. It is a little tight around the outside near the start finish line. We are going to have a designated area. We're going to be heating the races inside the track right there on the football field. We'll be staging them there. We'll have a designated area right along that area that we will allow coaches in there, but only in that particular area. So you will be there in an area that you will be able to help us with the running events, especially helping us move and set the hurdles. We'll need a lot of help with that. We'll be there. We'll have officials there, make sure we're getting them on the right spots and making sure the height is correct, but we need bodies helping move things around.
Our original thought is somewhere on the numbers on the football field between the 10 and 30 on that home stretch. You'll be able to be in there as coaches. Again, with the hurdle setters, we're going to have to move hurdles for the 300. We definitely, even if you don't have a hurdler, you've all been to a track meet where it's slowed down for a 10-minute hurdle set. We definitely don't want to do that. So if you've got, again, if you have extra kids or coaches that can help set those hurdles, we greatly appreciate any of that help. Steve?
Yeah, we had a question about whether coaches could be on the infield. You kind of get pulled into service if you're on the infield. We shouldn't see people scattered around and running back and forth and all that. You have an area and you'll have a job.
Along that same line, remember that you cannot pace your runners and whatever. So I know the 3,200 coaches are going to run corner to corner. Let's make sure that you stay in one place or you designate a couple people. You can be on the outside as coach all you want, but if you're going to be on the infield, we're going to ask you to be around that 10 to the 30. I mean, that's 20 yards of on the infield to spread out and not bunch together. Steve?
Yeah, we're trying to make it look as much like the state because, again, we go to regional and run it, and then you go to state and you feel very comfortable because it's kind of running in a very consistent manner.
All right, uniforms. Uniforms need to be NFHS and TAPS compliant. Those TAPS track and field rules are in section 186 and 187. They're pretty straightforward. Same things we've done for many, many years. We get this one over and over and over in our relays. If one, two, or more of your particular participants wear some type of undergarment underneath their track shorts, do they have to be the same color? The answer is yes. If it's just one, it doesn't matter, but if it's two or more, they need to be the same color. They don't all have to wear an undergarment, okay? But if they do and it's two or more, it needs to be the same.
Silly thing that comes up every year, yes, they have to wear shoes. I don't know why that's a question, but whether you're long or tripling or whatever, you do have to wear shoes. Don't have to be spikes, but you got to have shoes on. The other thing that's come up that I don't like, it's back to my assistant principal days. I hate to be the uniform police. Whether it's male or female, if you're wearing spandex, closed leg briefs, or if you're wearing the bodysuit, you have to have modesty shorts over the bottom. That's an important thing to remember, modesty shorts. Even if you're jumping, we've had young men and women jumping in bodysuits. I don't know, in the sand, that's kind of a tough deal, but they do even have to have the modesty shorts on then. And each year we run into, I don't think it'll be this time because of the weather. It looks like it's going to be in the 70s, but remember, you can't knot your uniforms. You can't pull them up. You do have to have your midriff covered at all times. So just help us as we go forward in that. Read those uniform rules, make sure we're in compliance, and away we'll go. Along those same lines, Robert, I do believe we're going to be using hit numbers on all of the running events, or that's the plan, most of them. So make sure that, you know, you've got if they're not going to be tucked in or tucked in, however that goes, make sure that we can put those hit numbers on.
Yeah, we'll have that as they call them in and they stage them, and we get everybody heated for our races. We'll have our people at the heating tent managing that. They'll be giving instructions to the athletes, so that should run pretty smoothly. We will not have bibs. We will for state, but we won't for region. We won't have bibs, but we will have hip numbers for our running events.
At the present time, our thought is coaches will have wristbands, and the athletes will also have a wristband that will gain them access to the track to warm up. So they can wear it on their off arm or whatever, just to have it as we go forward. It's also very important as we move forward, as Robert mentioned, the heating process. Let's not play any games this year with holding my athlete from going out to being at the heat tent when called. When you hear that first call, get them moving. Once they are walked towards the track, when they leave the heating tent towards the track, that means that heat is closed. So you don't want to have an athlete running out late and trying to get onto the track. They will not be allowed to run. They will be scratched, and then they're out of the meet. So make sure, you may not have to be there at first call, but that's your first warning. You'll get a second call on most events and then a final. So make sure your athletes are there in the heat tent ready to rock and roll. Our officials are all going to be U.S. track and field trained officials, the lead officials, with our meet referee or starters, et cetera. They are very knowledgeable about the rules. If you do have a question or a concern, we'll call that a protest. There will be a protest form available in your coach's packet. Protest is not, I want to see the video. Protest is, I really think this happened or that happened, whether it was pushing and shoving, whether it was whatever. You'll go through Robert and Steve before you get to our meet referee, and then we'll walk through that. So we haven't had a lot of protest. I know that on the 100 and the 200, it can be close. We have great timers. A polite ask that doesn't slow down the meet to go back and see a picture or snapshot, we will do our best to comply and help you to see that, so you can go back and tell your kids and your coaches, I looked at everything. But that, again, will start with Robert or Steve down at the finish line. Robert, talk to us a little bit about the awards and how that's going to take place and what we're actually providing.
So we will have awards. Points will be awarded through 8th place in all events in accordance with how we run all of our meets. Individual events and relay awards. Top 4 finishers, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, they will receive in the individual events and the relays, they will receive medals. And then the team awards will do 1st through 4th. And then we will have an athlete of the meet for each regional meet by classification. Those will be awarded at the state championships, but we will have that award as well. As with regard to picking up your awards, the awards will be available in that area where the coaches check in. We'll have a tent set up there. Kelly from our office will be set up there. And as events finish, you will be able to come by. If we've got the final results, the students can come by and pick those up. We'll check you off the list. You can pick them up throughout the day. And then, of course, at the end of the meet, be sure to come by and pick up any awards, including the team awards that you have not secured throughout the day.
So when we say final, of course, if there is a protest or if there is a disqualification, et cetera, it may take a little time for those to go final. In speaking the word disqualification, I hate it. I hate DQs more than anything. DQ reminds me of Dairy Queen and an ice cream cone, not what happens on the track or the field. If there is a disqualification, make sure you have thought ahead as to which of your coaches is going to go down to the infield when called. I know it can be an embarrassing moment when they call a head coach or a coach from X school to come to the finish line. When you hear that, you pretty well know there's a disqualification or something going on that they need. So think ahead of time, especially with our 5A, 6A, where you have multiple coaches, who's going to walk down there and be that person that can be, they're going to have that wristband on, but they're going to have to be very ready to talk. So Robert,
if we have a question or concern or any issue that we need to address, we'll call for the head coach. We want to We want to have that discussion with you. We want to relay that information through you. So then you can go deal with your students, your relay team, your individual students, whatever. You can handle that as you see fit. But we want to have that conversation with the coach. We want to make sure you understand what was seen, what was called, so that you can know and you can deal with it at that level. That will help us tremendously, and it'll help you be able to handle that situation as well.
Again, we are going to have officials, especially on the relays, just to instruct your students if they have a struggle. Most of those officials are really good about walking out there telling you from where to where to go and where your exchange zone is. If they have any questions, it's a whole lot better to ask that question on exchange zone before we go run than after we run. So, Steve?
That's a perfect lead into this question. Are the relay exchange zones the old international mark with 10-meter acceleration zone and 20 exchange, or the new 30-meter exchange?
It is the new 30-meter exchange that was adopted by the NFHS last year. I know many of you didn't get to run last year. We certainly didn't get to host regional and state, but that has been in effect for over a year now. But as a practical matter, many people may not be familiar with it or may not have run many meets, but that expanded 30-meter exchange zone is the exchange zone for the 4x1 and the 4x2. That is correct.
Just make sure when you're there that especially if you're the 2, 3, or 4, you ask where that exchange zone is and make sure you're in compliance with those rules. We are running with the current 2021 National Federation rules when that is included. Steve, what other questions do we have today?
Another clarification, just want to make sure they get it right. You must get a legal mark in the prelims of field events to make it to the finals. You cannot make the finals if you scratch all 3 attempts in the prelims. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is correct. Yes.
It counts as an event. You are in compliance with the fair effort rule. However, you are not going to place and get points because you did not get a qualified attempt. But that is correct. If you don't get a qualified attempt in the first 3, you don't get your final 3.
Okay. And entry fees is per event or per athlete. Also, alternates have to pay this fee as well.
Alternates do not have to pay. The individual and relay fees are on those regional sheets that Robert showed you at the very beginning. So go to www.taps.biz, click on athletics, click on track and field, click on regional meet information, and it should be showing up there. You can either bring your meet fee to the meet and turn it in to Kelly and Renee at registration, or you can mail it in, or if it comes up and we're too late for you to get a check request, Rhonda from our office will bill you at the conclusion of the meet. Robert?
And it is per event.
There is a per event and a relay fee.
Yes,
so they're both on there.
Also, take everything with you. And I'm gonna tell you, we're not happy to be carrying shot puts and discus to state to try to find you and reunite you. So please make sure you check everything and take it with you.
So as we conclude this webinar, we will have a webinar the Wednesday before state about what to expect at state. Right now, we are looking at having a check-in to get your coaches packets, but not a true coaches meeting before state. So we'll have a place where you can drop off your shot and disc and your implements on Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, and a place where you can get your relay cards, et cetera. We're not sure what that process is looking like. Waco's still a little closed down due to this thing called COVID. So we got to make sure that we are on the right path with them. As always, our information sources, www.taps.biz, info@taps.biz, email us, and 254-947-9268. Reach out to us as we can help. As I think through, again, in my mind, we had a track meet last year. We didn't. So we are extremely happy that we have track again. We love track and field like we do all our sports, but track is a great opportunity for an awful lot of athletes to come out and compete. We're looking forward to the competition. Again, and one last reminder to get your scratches in now as soon as possible to avoid any conflict with the fair effort rule. The sooner you know somebody's not coming, the sooner you let us know we can make those call-ups. So that's why we went to 5th place and 6th place or whatever on your roster, and we'll make sure that we call up all of those that can. As your timers, make sure that you're getting your results to Becky Blosser. Make sure that your timer is getting that to them in a format that she can use. If she has any questions, she'll be reaching out to you. We will definitely have heat sheets available at the site. Remind your parents that there will be a fan information email that will go out. We'll send it to you to forward on. It'll also be posted on the website. It'll tell them where to park, where to go in. It'll tell about outside food, et cetera. So it'll kind of be that, instead of you trying to recap everything we've talked about here, we're going to try to give you you that opportunity to just send an email. We will have the running event at the end of the day, starting at 2:45, 2:30. We will televise on TAPS TV for free the running events. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough opportunity or operators to get all of the field events. We will do our very best. Follow us on TAPS Track, which is our Twitter feed there. If there are weather or any updates, we will not only post on the TAPS website and email to you, but we'll also be using our social media accounts. If you'll tag TAPS Track or TAPS Biz when you're sending stuff out, we love to see pictures. We love to see content. Please include us where you can. Steve, any final questions or thoughts that you have?
No, online tickets, get those in and take your time when you're buying the tickets. Tell your fans, take their time, mark the right stuff. And again, it gets you in, gets you out pretty quickly, and it takes care of us for the COVID as well. So again, that's been a great partnership this year. And like I said, make sure they get those links.
As you park your buses, make sure you follow those instructions. We'll keep you out of the way of Liberty Christian School as much as possible. Can't say enough about Coach Isom and his willingness to host this meet. It has been a struggle for TAPS to find locations this year. It's always great to have a partner that's willing to step up and help. Again, thank you to their staff. Robert, final thoughts from your side of the table.
Look forward to seeing everyone next week up here at Liberty. If you have any questions or any needs between now and then, please reach out to us.
It's track and field. It's regional meet time, and we're going to qualify for state, and it's going to be a show. Thank you again for joining us on this webinar. Thank you for being a part of TAPS. Thank you for being a part of TAPS track and field. John, closing thoughts or closing ideas?
All right, thank you, folks. Once again, this recording will be made available early this afternoon. If we didn't get to your question or if something occurs to you later, please send us an email, info@taps.biz, or call us at the office. And you folks enjoy the rest of your day.